Rebecca, Chapter 5, Solving a Riddle. A month had passed, and Rebecca had worked with Papa every Saturday. Each week, Rebecca had improved on her plan to earn money. Now she knew exactly what to do. While Papa bustled between his customers in the back room, she draped a few doilies and pillow covers over a chair. As the lady strolled by, examining the latest styles, Rebecca hummed and rearranged her pieces. "Oh, how lovely," commented a customer as she fingered a lacy table runner. "Now that so few girls make a trousseau, it's so hard to find handmade items anywhere. My niece just announced her engagement, and this table runner would be a charming gift. Is this for sale?" the lady asked. "Oh, no," Rebecca said. "I made these myself, and they take so long." The lady pulled a quarter from her purse and held it between her gloved thumb and forefinger. "Would this change your mind, dear?" she asked. "I couldn't," Rebecca murmured. "Papa might get angry." "It'll be our little secret," the lady whispered as she added a dime. Rebecca quickly folded the table runner into a customer's shopping bag and tucked the coins into her own bag. As Papa stepped out of the back room with a stack of shoe boxes, the lady put her finger to her lips. Rebecca smiled demurely. This routine had been repeated many times over the past few Saturdays. She wasn't offering to sell her work, Rebecca told herself, and people insisted on buying. It wasn't because she'd asked them. She didn't even bargain. She had discovered that people offered more money if you simply said an item wasn't for sale. When she brought her calico bag home each week, it was no longer bulging with doilies and napkins, but it was very heavy with coins. Rebecca replaced several pairs of unwanted shoes in their boxes, smoothed the rumpled tissue paper, and tried to avoid Papa's eyes. He really might be angry if he knew what was going on. After all, people had come into the store to buy shoes, and she was taking their attention. "What a fine helper you have," commented an elderly man buying a pair of dressy brogues. "Maybe someday the store will be called Reuben and Daughter." Papa smiled proudly. "No, this young lady's going to be a teacher." Maybe, Rebecca thought, or I might be an actress. Papa placed the man's box of shoes on the glass case near the cash register. Inside the case were a few dusty cans of shoe polish and a wooden shoe tree to help shoes keep their shape. Rebecca thought doilies would be much prettier to display and sell, but how could she tell Papa without giving away her secret? "You're awfully quiet this evening," Papa said as they walked home. "I guess being a working girl is more tiring than you realized." But Rebecca wasn't tired. Her plan to sell her linens had worked better than she had expected. Now she had more than enough money to shop for candlesticks on Orchard Street. At first her heart had skipped at the happy thought, but then she began to worry about whether she should be selling her trousseau. Her trunk was nearly empty now. Bubby had been so proud of her needlework. She'd be upset if she found out Rebecca had sold it. And something else was bothering her even more. She couldn't stop thinking about Anna, who had to leave Russia soon. How could her cousin make such a long journey when she was so weak and ill? Anna would need a lot of courage to face the dangerous escape. "Papa," she asked, "is Cousin Anna still sick? Is she coming to America soon?" Papa gave Rebecca's hand a squeeze. "Is that what's on your mind?" he asked. "I'm afraid I haven't heard any more. Anything about Anna. I've been setting aside as much money as possible, but we still need a great deal more. I'll send Uncle Jacob the ship ticket as soon as I can." Rebecca swallowed, feeling uncertain. The last time she'd offered her savings to Papa, he hadn't wanted her pennies. But now she had a lot more than 27 cents. In fact, she thought she had enough for real silver candlesticks. If she used her money to buy them, she could finally light the candles every Friday night. She still wanted to light the candles as much as ever, but somehow the thought of buying her own candlesticks, it lost its glow. Rebecca's hand in Papa's felt hot and sweaty. Papa always said helping others was a mitzvah, something you should do. She remembered the day in the shoe store when Papa had said, "Your heart tells you the right thing to do." Rebecca's heart beat faster in her chest. "Instead of helping Anna, I've been thinking only of myself," she realized. "I've got to give Papa the money I've earned so that he can buy the ship tickets as soon as possible." Rebecca was about to make her offer when a more troubling thought stopped her from saying a word. Papa would ask where she got the money. If she told him she had been selling her needlework in the store, he would be angry. And what would Bubby and Mama say when they found out she had sold her trousseau? Rebecca's throat felt dry. She could never tell them what she had done. When Rebecca and Papa turned in at their row house, Mr. Rossi was washing chalk from the sidewalk with a long-handled broom. A bucket of brown water stood in the soapy puddle near the stoop. Mr. Rossi cleaned the building in exchange for his rent, but Rebecca thought he acted as if he owned it. "These kids are always drawing on the chalk marks," he complained. He glowered at Rebecca. "It's you girls making these squares for jumping." "I wasn't playing hopscotch, Mr. Rossi," Rebecca said. "I was working at my father's store today." He wiggled his finger in her face. "Today it's not you. Tomorrow maybe it is you." What a grouch Mr. Rossi was. It wasn't his sidewalk, thought Rebecca, and besides, the chalk marks would wash away soon as it rained. But she couldn't waste time worrying about Mr. Rossi. His problem with all this chalk wasn't as important as her problem at all. All through dinner, thoughts about her empty trunk and Anna and the candlesticks chased each other around in Rebecca's head. Then a horrible thought crept into her mind. Uncle Jacob had said he didn't think Anna could survive another winter. What if her cousin got sicker? What if she died? "I've got to give my money to Papa before it's too late," she thought. But how could she admit what she'd done? Rebecca barely looked up when there was a rhythmic tapping at the door and Max walked in. "Moshi," Grandpa said, "you're too late for dinner, but come sit." Max lifted the lids off the pans on the stove. "First, I'll help with the leftover blimsies," he said. "After all, I do want to help out around here." Mama filled a plate and added a dollop of sour cream. Max sat down and ate hungrily. "Do you feel like tea?" Bubby asked him. "Well, let me see." Max pinched his arm. "Nope, I don't think I feel like tea. How about Benny?" He pinched Benny's nose. "Nope, he doesn't feel like tea either." "As for Becky," he said, pinching her cheek, "you don't feel like tea at all. More like a rosy peach." A murmur of laughter rippled around the table. Rebecca couldn't even smile. She knew in her heart what she had to do, but why did it have to be so hard? She thought again of Anna and the courage it would take to escape to America. If Rebecca was going to help her cousin, she would have to show some courage, too. She twisted her napkin in her hand. "Papa," she began in a whispery voice. But Max already had Papa's ear. "Believe it or not, I didn't come by just to sponge a dinner from you," he said. "I saw a newsreel at the theater today. The war is spreading fast, and fewer ships are leaving Europe. There's no time to spare if you want to get Jacob and his family out." "I know, Max," Papa snapped. "I'm doing the best I can." "You don't understand," Max said, pulling a wallet from his pocket. "I really did come here to help." A wide grin spread across his face. "Remember the audition I had a few weeks ago? Well, now you're looking at Max Shepard, a movie actor." Rebecca stared at Max in amazement. Imagine, a movie actor and her family. Grandpa lifted his bushy eyebrows. "So it's a good job?" "The best," Max said. "I'll be working steadily and getting paid every week. In fact, I got my first paycheck yesterday." Bubby gasped as he pulled 5 crisp $10 bills from his wallet. "The movie business pays pretty good dough," Max said. "No more borrowing for me. I can pay off my debts and look for my own apartment now." Max handed Papa the money. "I hope this helps buy your brother's tickets." Papa blinked as if he couldn't believe his eyes. Then he shook his head and tried to give the money back. "You don't have to do this," he said. "After all, it's not your brother." But Max wouldn't take it. "Consider it repayment for all the money you've loaned me over the years," Max said. He winked at Mama. "And all the dinners you're going to feed me now that I'm living here in the city." Papa shook Max's hand and accepted his gift. "This will go a long way," he admitted. "I'll borrow the rest of what we need. It will just take a little while to pay it off." Mama leaned over and gave Max a kiss on the cheek. "And there's one more thing," Max added. "Is it really true that there are people in this family who have yet to go see a moving picture?" "You can put me on that list," Mama said with a smile at Rebecca. "This is my last weekend working as an usher at the Strand," Max said. "If you come to the matinee tomorrow, I'll get the whole family in for free." Rebecca could barely believe it. There seemed to be no end to Max's surprises. Bubby and Grandpa exchanged nervous glances. "Don't worry," Max assured them. "It's a Charlie Chaplin comedy. All of you will enjoy it. You'll laugh until your sides hurt." He nudged Rebecca. "And there's an episode of The Perils of Pauline with Pearl White." How Rebecca had dreamed of seeing a movie picture. But tonight, Max's surprise didn't make her happy. When Papa and Mama learned what she had done, they'll make her stay home, she was sure. Blinking back tears, Rebecca slipped from the room and returned with her calico bag. "I have to tell you something, Papa," she said. "Please don't be angry." She took handfuls of change from her bag and dropped them onto the table. Nickels, dimes, quarters, and half-dollars clinked into a pile. Everybody stared at her. Mama's lips were set in a thin line. "Rebecca Rubin, where did you get this money?" Rebecca's face burned. She tried not to look at Bubby. I sold my needlework at the shoe store." "Oh, vey!" Bubby cried. "Your trousseau!" "I'm sorry," Rebecca said, her eyes downcast. "How did you do it?" asked Sadie. "I brought my linens and doilies to the store, and ladies offered me money for them." Tears of shame filled Rebecca's eyes. Mama shook her head slowly as if she couldn't believe what Rebecca had done. "Why did she do this?" she asked. Rebecca answered in a near whisper. "I wanted to buy candlesticks." "For what you need candlesticks?" Bubby asked. "One pair isn't enough." Rebecca hung her head. "I wanted to light candles on Shabbos too." Everyone sat in silence. Rebecca wished she could make herself disappear. Then Mama came over and lifted Rebecca's chin. "So impatient," she sighed. "I was impatient once too. I thought I'd never be old enough to welcome the Sabbath. I pretended to light candles using twigs stuck in the ground." She wrapped her arms around Rebecca and held her. Now that her secret was out, tears of relief and regret rolled down Rebecca's cheeks. "The more things I sold," she sobbed, "the more money I earned, the less important the candlesticks seemed." "So," Papa said, "that's what brought on all the secret deals in the shoe store." "What?" Rebecca blinked in astonishment. "You know I was selling my things?" she asked. "And you aren't angry?" Papa shrugged. "When your daughter is a successful American businesswoman, what can a father do except sit back and watch?" Rebecca wiped her eyes and looked at Papa. "What I really want is for Anna and her family to come. I've got more than $8. I know that's not nearly enough for a ticket, but maybe I could sell some more things and you won't need to borrow so much money." Suddenly Sophie spoke up. Her voice was filled with excitement. "Sadie and I have oodles of napkins and doilies and linens. Let's sell some of those too." This time it was Sadie who nodded in agreement, her curls bouncing. Rebecca's face brightened. "You know, Papa," she said, "the display case near the cash register is wasted with shoe polish in it. Let's put linens there." Bubby sat silently. Now she looked thoughtful. "If people pay to have doilies," she thought. "I have a trunk full, and tablecloths, bed covers, fancy shawls, all sitting in a dark trunk. I'll sell a little too. It's a mitzvah." Grandpa patted Bubby's arms. "After all, you're already married. A trousseau you don't need." For the first time in weeks, Rebecca's heart felt light. Papa didn't mind what she had done. Mama understood why she had sold her needlework, and Bubby wasn't angry. She was even going to help. "If this works," Papa said, "we'll pay for the tickets in no time." He put his hand on Rebecca's shoulder. "But you, young lady, will have to be in charge of handling the merchandise. Do you think you can arrange the display case?" "I know I can!" Rebecca exclaimed. Max stood up in a deep stage voice. He said, "In the true Russian tradition, the youngest daughter has solved the family's riddle of how to get the money for ship tickets." He raised a glass of tea. "Here's to Rebecca." Bubby got up and came over to Rebecca. She unhooked the pin with the leaping hair from her collar and fastened it to Rebecca's dress. "Keep this to remember that you are our own clever Karina." Rebecca hugged Bubby. "Just as long as I don't have to marry the Tsar," she said. "Don't worry," Mama laughed. "He'd never have you without a trousseau."